Well, it starts with the definition of the word design. I take a fairly universal definition. I believe that everything at some stage has been designed. All we're saying is that we would like it to be designed better. That particularly in public services where it's public money and it's people's lives and the quality of their care and the quality of their lives, it's the most important place, as far as I'm concerned, where good design can have an impact. And we're trying to create a process and tools that help people just go through that design process, that creation process, better. Design of a product is the design of a thing, and the design of a service or a system or communications is the same process. It's about understanding what users want, and whether they're customers, end users, clients, stakeholders, understanding what they want and trying to give it to them as best as possible in a way that fits in with the budget and timescales that we have available. So it's similar, but it's not about the way something looks. The way something looks is part of the way something functions, but only a very little part. What goes on inside is rather harder to solve and rather more challenging. Well, I think good design people don't notice because it does exactly what they want it to do without them having to think about it. Really good design, you notice it because you love it and you recommend it to your friends. And really bad design, you notice because it hurts. You either bang your shin off it, it frustrates or angers you and doesn't deliver what you want, and you spend your life trying to work around it. But good design tends to be quite invisible. Beyond Mother Nature, design applies to everything. And almost anything can be made better because customers change, because budgets change, because economies change. There's a cycle of continual improvement. Some are small challenges and some are big challenges, but all are design challenges. But that does not mean, as I said, you need to involve designers, but it's design thinking and design processes and some expertise.
I think design approaches are increasingly being used by a wider audience than has been the case in the past. So it's as if design is moving from the objects, then it's moving towards services, and then from services it's moving to systems, and then from systems it's moving to strategy. And I think by that I'm talking about things, objects as things, services as journeys, systems as maps, so where you've got an overall view and you're trying to make connectivity between those. And then design as strategy for me is about embedded behaviour and practice, where people just learn that listening to the user, building in quality, trying to think, is this the right thing? Are we asking the right questions? All of these approaches are actually becoming embedded in cultures, organisational cultures. I'm not saying everybody should be a designer. I don't think everybody is a designer. I think designers, professional designers, are very skilled and very talented at what they do and have very specific skills that are trained skills. They get qualifications in them. But that doesn't mean to say that all of us aren't users of what gets designed, and therefore in that respect we can be experts in the experience of what we're using, what we're moving through, what we're walking through, what we're being involved in any situation. So I think that there is a subtle difference there that, I'm not saying everyone is a designer, but that doesn't mean that everyone can't actually be engaged in a design process. So I think this idea of design learning for all, where we all learn about why design can make a difference in our lives, is important.
Public sector organizations are under immense pressures budgetarily in terms of how much money they have to spend, how much money they will have to spend, how much they're having to cut their budgets. This is happening all across Europe. It's also the pressure of citizens and needing to provide services for citizens that actually work. There's many things that come into play, and they've got to be studied and looked at and understood. And the reason why design is important in this regard is that it focuses on people. It starts with people, starts with citizens, and understanding problems from the citizens' point of view, not necessarily from the policy point of view. That's very clear. That's very important. The other question that's very important in this situation is there is a need to have better policy, but how is that policy achieved? Traditionally, it's a bunch of politicians who get into a room, decide how things are going to be, and it's quite authoritarian, quite top-down. What design does is it allows policy to be developed in a bottom-up approach so that you can take citizens' needs into account and also work from the top down in order to construct the right kind of programs and policies to deliver the services that are valuable to people. So it's all about, again, engaging people in that process, and that's what design is very effective at, is making sure that people are engaged, understanding those issues, finding out what those needs are, and those, importantly, latent needs, things that are unexpressed, the things that you can't find out from questionnaires and surveys, but through direct contact and through direct experiencing of what people are going through. That's what designers do in order to get those ideas. Then they start working with people in a co-creative kind of capacity to get an understanding of potential solutions. How might we solve this problem? How can people work together in order to make a viable solution that also meets the policy objectives? And that's what we always have to consider, is what is the bigger thing that's at stake, and how can we make sure that these solutions are going to be sustainable, that they're going to last, and not just be kind of one-off things that are forgotten in 2 years or 3 years' time.
Minu meelest on ikkagi disainmõtlemine olemuslikult nii nakkav, et kui inimesel on põhimõtteline sättumus mõelda kasutajakeskselt, et kui ta ei kasuta seda lihtsalt niisuguse lip-talkina, vaid tõesti mõtleb, et jah, ma tahan teha teenust, mis on kasutajatele hea, siis näidates seda, mida disainjuhtimine ja sellised disaini võtmes lähenemised pakuvad. Mul ei ole olnud ühtegi kogemust, et need inimesed ei oleks vähemasti algfaasi ehk probleemi kaardistamise ja niisuguse ühise prototüüpimisega tegelema hakanud. Euroopas on hulk disainereid jõudnud kokkuleppele, et avalikus sektoris oleks vaja rohkem mõelda teenuse disaini ja just nimelt selle disainiprotsessi juhtimise peale. Ja on kokku pandud projekt, mis peaks niisuguse siis töövahendi välja töötama. Ja konkreetselt Eesti oli siis mõeldud riigiks, kus proovitakse seda töövahendit testida tervishoiu- ja sotsiaalsektoris. Nii et ühtepidi on sellel Euroopa projektil laiemalt siis eesmärk kogu avaliku sektori jaoks selline abivahend välja töötada, mis aitaks nii lihtsate kui keeruliste probleemide puhul paremini juhtida disaini kasutamist ja Eestis kitsamalt siis tõesti vaadata, et mis on need tervishoiu- ja sotsiaalsektori eripärad, mida tuleks arvestada, et kui soovida neid teenuseid paremini ja kasutajakesksemalt disainida. Avalik sektor, aga eriti tervishoiu valdkonnas töötavad inimesed on harjunud konkreetsete otsustega, väga konkreetse plaaniga. Et nende julgustamine, et selle õige kõigepealt probleemi leidmine, et see võibki võtta aega, mingiks hetkeks võib tekkida tegelikult suur segadus, et selle niisugune juhtimine on see, mis on olnud võib-olla kõige raskem, aga kindlasti mitte ületamata raskus. Sellega tuleb arvestada, et see on osa ja selleks tuleb olla valmis ja ka läbi mõelda, et kuidas siis nende konkreetsete inimestega seda niisugust julgustust teha. Positiivse poole pealt ongi see, et see on nii hea asi, et inimesed, kes on saanud esimesest barjäärist üle ehk võõristusest sõna disain vastu, kõik on tulnud kaasa ja tõesti ma olen näinud füüsiliselt seda, kuidas inimesed, kes mingisuguse töötöö alguses istuvad nurgas jalgu üle põlve, käed rinna peal risti, 3 tunni pärast nad on koos teistega ümber laua ja valmis kaasa rääkima, et see on väga võimas kaasamise vahend.
So Reed found a pair of jeans in the local Zara store in Tallinn, and she found the label tag like made in Beksimco. So what she did was she tracked down this pair of jeans, located Beksimco in Bangladesh, and then she was presenting her concept that this is what she wanted to do and see what happens. So she saw everything, and our industrial wastage is really huge. Every month we produce 10 to 15 million pieces of garments. So if you go by the system, you're supposed to produce like 5% extra. So she was really fascinated, and she thought that this could be an arena where she could work. And Beksimco, we thought, yes, why not manage this waste in a more scientific way and make a viable business out of it where it can contribute the environmental issues to the environment and make a viable business and for improve the brand value of the company. And if you talk about the future prospect, I would say that future prospect of this project is really, really huge. The latest is this industrial upcycling, where we are talking about upcycling through the industrial process, maybe 10,000, 20,000 of pieces. Usually it is done a couple of hundred pieces everywhere. Every single cloth is upcycled, is customized. We have this, I would say, business loyalty, partnership loyalty between Beximco and Rethos. So yes, your point is really valid that basing on considering the production, whatever Rethos is doing, this is small scale at the moment. But if the industrial upcycling goes successful, we have this meeting with H&M headquarters in the coming 3rd of October, that any big brand who is producing clothes in Bangladesh, in Beximco, agrees to this upcycling concept that Rethos and Beximco have developed. It is not going to be small anymore, so it's going to be really huge.